Welcome to the Wealth Embodied podcast. I'm your host, Brianna Faringer, an attorney, spiritual guide, and wealth activator. I'm here to help you align your mindset for abundance and break through any glass ceilings with money. If you're ready to embrace your highest calling, manifest with more ease, and create a life that feels lighter and more aligned, then let's dive in. Hello, welcome to the Wealth Embodied podcast. I'm your host, Brianna. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am going to talk about something that I actually have already spoken about in a previous episode, but it's from a different context. And this is a topic that it comes up in so many different places, particularly as it relates to money. And I could probably talk about this a lot of different ways, which is why I'm bringing this up again. And it's about receiving. And so I've talked about this in a previous episode. And I'm going to use a different kind of set of examples to discuss something that I see quite a bit, and that's something I have had actually come up frequently in my practice. And it really relates to being able to receive information. So, as I have said many times, everything relates to money. Everything. Receiving comes up in a lot of different ways, or I should say not being able to receive comes up in a lot of different ways, and it doesn't seemingly relate to money. So people don't think it affects money. It does affect money because every single thing that you do affects money, whether you realize it or not. And so when I had talked about this previously, if you didn't catch that episode, you can always go back and listen to it, but receiving is a skill. And if you are not good at being able to receive things in your life, receive compliments, receive help, receive support, receive information, you are going to have a hard time receiving money when it comes your way, or things of value. And so I bring these up because there's a lot of things that people are doing in their day-to-day life that is affecting whether or not they are able to receive money or the things of value or things that actually they want to come their way, because they are so closed off to being able to receive other things in their life. One of those things is information. So the way that this comes up is if you are not able to receive information from another person. When I say receive information, it could be maybe you are not able to receive it from an educational perspective. You may not be able to receive it from a person trying to share with you how they're feeling perspective, which kind of goes to listening. And I'm going to give examples to all this, by the way, so it's not so abstract. But I'll tell you when this comes up a lot. As a service provider, and I'm sure if any of you are listening to this and you are a service provider as well, you've had this happen. When somebody comes to you and they are paying you to provide them a service, they've hired you for a reason, you are providing them with some sort of expertise that they do not already have. And then they will have this pattern of responding to you with, oh yeah, I already know that. Or yeah, but, right? When they're yeah, butting you, it's almost like they're arguing with you. And if you've ever had this happen to you as a practitioner, I think it does make you a little bit more conscious of not doing it to other people. But I'm bringing this up because it prevents people from being able to receive information. And this used to be me. I thought I knew everything. Not really, but I kind of did go around that way. And I think as I look back when I was very closed off to receiving information from other people, and I think about why I was responding the way I do, like sometimes it will come off as defensiveness, right? Like if you're sharing information with somebody, like I'll just say, like I have had, people I've worked with in the past that have come to me and I can tell they're very resistant to doing the work. That's okay. Resistance is useful. It can be helpful. But when I constantly have somebody saying to me, oh, I already know that. Oh, I already know that. Here's the thing. If they already knew that, they wouldn't be coming to me. If they were already living it in their lives, then they wouldn't need me. There's a huge difference between knowing something intellectually, believing something intellectually, and actually knowing it in your body because you are living it. So a lot of times when clients are coming to me, they may intellectually know a concept or understand it because they've heard it before. These are high achieving people. They're intelligent people. They've learned a lot of these things. The reason their life is not different is because they're not implementing them. Or maybe they are just need some different tools to help them actually make it click in a different way. There's a lot of things we intellectually know in our minds, but we don't actually know it in our bodies, which is a very different perspective. So I will tell you, for me, I was very defensive when people would sometimes try to give me information or sometimes try to correct me. That was coming from a place of not wanting to look stupid. Or maybe there was something underlying it where I felt I needed to justify myself, or it made me then seem like I wasn't good enough if somebody told me something that I like, oh, I didn't already know that. And I'm pointing this out because I have actually done a total reversal on this. I do sometimes have that tendency, and when I feel it come up, if somebody's trying to offer me help or they're trying to provide something for me, if I feel that need to be like, oh, I already know that, I have to stop and say, Brianna, where is this coming from? And the reason that this is so important is because, you know, I know a lot. You know, I'll know a lot. Like, I know a lot specifically, and I'll use my law practice as an example. I know a lot about tax law. I know a lot about working with the IRS. I've been representing people against the IRS for 13 years. If I was moving through that practice constantly thinking that there was nothing else for me ever to learn, I would be making mistakes and I wouldn't be able to represent my clients in the way that they need to be represented to get the results that they want. I do know a lot, but there's always room for improvement. There's always room to learn more things. There's always room to see things from a different perspective. And I have that mindset when I am working in that field because I've had many times where I've been humbled thinking I know exactly what I'm doing because I've done this before. And then something completely different happens and it catches me off guard. That doesn't really happen anymore. And when I say it doesn't happen, it's because I'm open to all of the different things that can come my way. And I'm open to the ways that I can be educated. And I'm open to the things that I can learn new or to do them differently. And so, as a money mindset guide, sometimes when I'm sharing information with people, it is new to them. Maybe they've heard the concept before, but they've just never heard it be related to money. And again, I work with high achieving people. They know a lot of things. There's not a lot that I can tell them that they haven't already heard before. It's how they are implementing it, it's how they are, the patterns that they have, how they are doing things in their life. Because this is the thing, if they were doing all of the things, they wouldn't need me, or they wouldn't need you if you're a service practitioner. I say this to people all the time, not directly as a client, but like if you knew everything, if you know how to do everything, your life would be perfect. You wouldn't need me. You wouldn't need anybody else. You would just be doing all of the things right. And so, not being able to receive information from people is a huge, huge blind spot, and it's a huge place where people can make improvements on being able to receive. You can't be a selective receiver. And what I mean by that is if you are in your mind like, I'm not going to receive information from people that I think are stupid, or I'm not going to receive that because I already know it, you are actually filtering out the good things, the things that you would want to come to you. You can't be a selective receiver. And I try to explain this to people. When you're filtering out the bad, you're also filtering out the good, even though you don't realize it. And so receiving is not about allowing every single person that comes to you with something being able to give to you. It's about being open, meaning you're not closed off to being able to receive information, support, help, compliments, gifts, money, things of value. You are not so closed off to being able to receive things from people that you can't have discernment about who you are and are not going to receive it from. So when we're talking about receiving, particularly as it relates to maybe being able to receive, well, anything, but in this particular instance, I really see receiving as having a few components to it, which is being open, being curious, and having discernment. So Just because I'm open to receiving things that want to come my way does not mean I have to receive things from people. You get to be discerning about what you are and are not going to receive. And what I mean by that is like, I now go through life of like, I am open to all of the ways that people, opportunities, experiences, things that can come into my life that are supportive of me getting the things I want. I am open to that. But I also know that if they are coming my way, I have to practice discernment over what I am and am not going to allow in my life. That's different from being just completely closed off from being able to receive from people in general, particularly when it comes to information. So you can still be open to like, hey, I'm ready for whatever wants to come my way. This is how I live my life now, by the way. It's very different because I believed I was very closed off to being able to receive anything from anybody, and I still struggle to receive help or ask for help more than receiving it. But I'm very good about being able to receive information from people because I'm open to it and I'm discerning. The other thing is I'm curious. So I think, what will come up sometimes is like if I have clients that don't understand a concept and they're asking questions, that's great. They're just coming from a place of curiosity and wanting to understand. Differently, it feels different when people are coming from a place of, I don't believe you or I don't trust you. And if you are a practitioner, you know what I'm talking about. Sometimes you'll have people that will respond to you in a way that's like they're asking you questions because they don't believe a single thing that you're saying is true. When I have that happening with a client, I have to question whether or not we're a good fit, whether it's as in my law practice or helping people with money mindset. There's always going to be some resistance when people are working with you doing something they haven't done before. And I recognize that. And I actually like helping people move through resistance because it's kind of challenging for me and it helps me grow when I can figure out how can I help this person move through resistance? How can I help this person move through them thinking that they know everything and that they don't really need my help. But there's also a point at which it becomes very frustrating. And I would say, regardless of which side you're on, just having some awareness of, if you are constantly questioning a person you work with, I would look at number one, do I actually trust this person? Or do I need to look at myself and say, why am I not being open to this? What is it about this situation that's not allowing me to be open? And so, being open, practicing discernment, and having curiosity. Being in the energy of curiosity is very different from being in the place of constant skepticism when you're dealing with people. And so I had a client that I was working with, and every time I would provide her with information, she would say, yeah, I know. Like, as a practitioner, to get that kind of a response from somebody, it's kind of like a slap in the face, I have to say, because it's a little bit like, yeah, I know. I don't like, you're not telling me something I don't know. Well, then why are you here? I would never say that to a client to their face, by the way, but I those are the kind of things that come up for me when I'm like, okay, then why, if you know everything, why do you need my help? If you know everything, you should be making millions of dollars. Your life should be as content as you think that like you want it to be. You should have all the happiness and joy that you want, but you don't. And so it's interesting because I really bring this up because it's something that I struggled with for so long, being so closed off to being able to accept things from other people, including maybe helpful information that they were trying to share, or just thinking I know everything. I don't know everything. And now I'm so open to where people want to provide me with help. So as a money mindset guide, I know a lot about money. I know a lot about the energy of money. I know a lot about the practices and the things that people can incorporate in their lives to help them get more money and other things that they want. That doesn't mean I know everything. I go to a lot of events where other people are talking about money and the energy of money, and they're talking about the same concepts that I teach people on. And occasionally I'll feel myself closing myself off, like, yeah, I already know this. But this is the thing. I will have really big aha moments in times where I don't think I'm going to. So for example, like I was listening to this podcast recently, and there was a woman on there talking about money mindset concepts, and she said something in a way that I was like, oh, I didn't think about it like that. It was a concept that I am familiar with. It's a concept I teach. It's a concept I live. but she said it in a way that really resonated with me. And I was like, oh, that's a really interesting way of trying to think about that. And I liked it because I'm like, now I can use that to try to help other people understand this concept in a different way. There's always more to be gained from other people, even if they do the same thing that you do, even if you think you know what they're talking about, even if you've heard it before. I've had so many times where, like, maybe I've heard the same thing over and over again, and then I heard somebody else say it a different way, and it happened to be at a time in my life where it really resonated with me, and it completely changed my perspective and my life on something that was very bothersome to me. And there's something in particular that's coming to mind. I had gone to another spiritual guide several years ago. This is probably like 6 years ago now. And I don't even recall at the time what I was going to her for, but I do recall that there was something in my life at that time that was really bothering me, that every time I thought about it, it had this real emotional charge with it. By the way, that was happening because I was creating the emotional charge around it, which is another topic I'll talk about on another episode. But sometimes we actually are creating stories that are causing us to suffer, and they're actually not even true. But what happened was every time I thought about this situation, I had these questions around it, why it happened, how I was going to get over it. And it felt like I could never, ever get past it. It just kept like cycling through over and over again. This spiritual guide I saw, she said one thing to me, one thing. It was so, so, so simple. And it was not different than anything I had heard before. I had heard it said before. It was just in a different way. And in that moment, it was like a 10-second sentence part that was like 10 seconds out of our 90 minutes together. And something that she said to me changed my perspective on that particular issue. And I do not think about it at all anymore. It doesn't even bother me a tiny little bit because it changed my perspective. And if I was in a place of not being able to receive from her, I would have lost out on a major healing opportunity. And so I bring this up because I do see it so often amongst high achieving people. Sometimes we think we know everything. If we knew everything, our lives would be magic. Everything would be going exactly how we wanted it to go. We don't know everything. And I have done a major shift in that. When I can feel it in my body when I start to get this, when I want to say like, yeah, I already know that. Or yeah, like I get it. Yeah, I've already heard this before. When I have to then say to myself, Brianna, why is this coming up? What is this reflecting back to you? Is it about this person? Is there something about this person that is reflecting back to you, something that needs to be healed? Is it about the situation? I'll be honest with you. Sometimes I'm just really tired. If I'm overwhelmed or if I have recently taken in a lot of information, like if I've gone to a conference and I've gotten a lot of information, I have a hard time integrating things. And so it's hard for me to be in the energy of receiving for a little bit after that. And I've learned that about myself. So I try not to overdo it with like doing too many events back to back, because it puts me in a situation where I'm not open to receiving new things, and I can feel it in my body. But I'm just pointing this out to you because I'm sure you have had this come up where you're like, yeah, I already know that. If you catch yourself saying that either out loud or in your mind, I would say, what is number one, what is this situation reflecting back to me, and how can I heal? And why am I not being open to receiving? And one thing I also want to throw out here, I do not like unsolicited advice. And this is like kind of an outlier here. Unsolicited advice, I think, is incredibly rude. It's something that I hate. People that know me well know that this is something I don't appreciate. People that know me well, they will ask me, can I give you advice? And it gives me the opportunity to then say yes or no. Sometimes I say no because I'm not in a place to be able to receive. It might be because I'm in a bad mood about something. It might be because I just need to think about something a little bit more. This is the thing. If you offer advice to people and you haven't asked them if it's okay, you should not be surprised when they're not receiving it or they're not hearing you, because they haven't asked you for it. And so this is kind of an outlier here. It's like if somebody's giving you unsolicited advice and you feel yourself being closed off to it, that's very different. That's kind of more discernment. You just practicing discernment. And like, I'm in a situation where I haven't asked you for advice and you're just giving it to me. Differently, if you are paying somebody, you have gone out of your way to pay somebody, be open to what they want to tell you. and use that as a growth opportunity to say, like, if I'm having a hard time receiving from this person, how am I contributing to that? And maybe you're not a good fit, but I would not default to that. I would look to say, if I hired this person, there was a reason I hired them, and I need to be open to the information that they are providing. Or if I paid to go to this event where all of these entrepreneurs are speaking on their experiences as business owners, I'm going to be open to every single thing they say. I'm not going to be like, oh, I already know that, or I already do that. Those kinds of things prevent you from being able to receive, and it affects receiving money. Every time that you do this, you are preventing the things that you want to come into your life to come to you. Be open, be curious, practice discernment. That is going to open you up to so much more coming into your life. But I just have had this come up so many times recently where I see people being so closed off to information that could be really helpful to them. But I see people being so closed off to receiving, and it's so frustrating because it's a really super easy thing that you can practice and implement in your life that can allow you to get more of what you want. When you're closed off to receiving things, the things that you truly want are not going to come to you. They're just not going to. And this is a skill, just like everything else that needs to be practiced. So it's not going to be intuitive right away if it's something that you haven't been used to doing. If you believe that you have to do everything yourself, if you're an untrusting person, if you are constantly skeptical of things, it might take you longer to implement this. But I would tell you that the rewards for doing it are incredible. And the reason I know this is because I live it. All of the stuff that I teach in my money mindset program, all of the stuff that I talk about on this podcast are from my own personal experiences. They are not from books that I've read. They are not from certifications that I've done. They are because I have been living it. And as I lived it, I started taking notes of, when I started to do this thing changed. When I started to implement this practice, more things started coming into my world. When I started to implement this, more abundance came in. These are things that I live. I'm not just teaching them, like I said, out of it. It's not because I got a certification and I'm like just now repeating the information that I've learned from somebody else. I've lived these experiences. That's why I do this work. It's why I know it's so powerful, because it completely changed my life and I see it change other people's lives. So practice receiving compliments, practice receiving information, practice being open, practice listening. The more you listen and the less you say, oh, I already know that, the more you are going to get coming your way. I guarantee it. It just takes time. Sometimes it takes longer for certain people than others. But just because you are open to receiving doesn't mean you have to receive the thing that's coming your way. Being open allows it to come through. Being open allows the energy to be released so that you are not blocking good things from coming to you, and so that you can have more coming into your life, more support, more opportunities, more people, more resources, things that are going to be helpful to you living the life of your dreams and getting more money. Thank you so much for listening today. I appreciate you tuning in. I hope you have an amazing day. Bye. Hey, before you go, would you love to receive my 3-step masterclass to easily create and hold wealth for free? It's called Effortless Money, and it includes the exact framework to start attracting money effortlessly and manifesting abundance with more ease. If you want it for free, all you have to do is leave an honest review of the Wealth Embodied podcast, take a screenshot of this episode and put it in your Instagram stories and tag me at Brianna_Faringer, and we will send you the free Effortless Money Masterclass. This is how my clients have manifested a $13,000 check, a promotion resulting in a $30,000 salary increase, and significantly improved relationships. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you next time on the Wealth Embodied podcast.